What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys, as you can see, I did say that if I was going to do one more review, I was going to do Chilla Jones versus T-Rex, from Massacre 6, bar for bar review. And that's the thing about me. Sometimes I'm a liar. I give false hope, you know what I'm saying? Is what it is, because as you can see, we are in fact doing a T-Rex Book'em video instead, going over the 5 best matchups that I see that T-Rex could have in the foreseeable future. And I think that particularly with the consistency he's shown from the chest battle to the Big K battle to the chest battle to the Chilla battle, I don't remember the last time Rex gave 3 coherent, not just coherent, great and competitive battles in a row, then versus top tier competition at that. So he also said that 2025, he'll make a Cody run. We'll see how true that is. But if so, he's going to have at least 4 battles, right? And probably going to battle again before the year's out if I had to guess. So I am going to be giving my 5 best matchups I see fit for Rex next, with, as usual with this series, 5 being one that's probably out there. You're not going to agree with it. And number 1 being someone that I kind of want to see him battle next. It's the matchup I'm most interested in seeing him in. And even though I'm not doing the Chilla versus Rex bar for bar, I do want to talk about the battle a little bit here, and a point that I see some people making, because I still had Rex in the first, Chilla edging the second, and I had Rex in the third round, clearest round of the battle in my opinion. And I'm seeing people that, off rip, some people felt this way, that Chilla actually outwrote Rex, particularly in the first 2, and that Rex was gassed and this and that. Like, you hear these common things when it's like a performer versus a pen. And listen, I think that there is some people, because I see a lot of Rex 30 as well, like, oh, he just killed Chilla. No, I think Chilla's competitive. I mean, there's a reason that I ended up edging him around in the battle. And I think even in the first, if we're just taking the bars, like if we're just taking all the other elements away and we just write down what they said, I'm sure Chilla does have the more clever first round. I didn't write down everything bar for bar, but I kind of felt that way live, where Chilla was more sound, consistent with back-to-back punches, while Rex had some bars that, in classic older battler fashion, may have not made any sense at all. He still had some of the peak moments and peak bars of the battle, and also we cannot pick and choose, and this is coming from someone that is a much bigger Chilla fan than a Rex fan. I'll just say that, up front right now. But we can't pick and choose when things become a live action text battle. Yes, bar for bar absolutely matters. And in some battles, the room is not actually being fair to who a lot of us believe the actual winner is. That doesn't determine it, but there's elements of battle rap that Rex just clearly did better than Chilla that you can't just strip away from the battle. You can't strip away the performance and the way that he got the room to engage him. His actual rapping ability, bar for bar, is Rex, is he rum nitty, is he av, is he going to be the cleanest punch to punch? Absolutely not, but he's a style based on real talk, based on having some of the key haymakers. And if you look at the key bars, the standout quotables from this battle, they are from T-Rex. I don't think there's much of a debate there. If you have Chilla, it's because you felt like he put a couple more clever lines together and caught that momentum, was more efficient. But I thought Rex had those peak moments. He outperformed him. You could argue that he just out-rapped him. Not talking about just the bars. I mean, the rapping ability. There's just things he did in the elite level. It's not a shocker that everybody's looking at him as someone that stole the show night 1. So, although I'm not giving the bar for bar, and listen, I thought Chilla was really good in the battle, I still think it's a good battle. I just had to point that out because I don't see how this could be viewed as anything else but a clear T-Rex win in my personal opinion. But with that being said, right, this video, while not strictly about that battle, how he performed has given him a lot of momentum for people that even after 2 battles like me were a little weary if he'd stay consistent. There's a reason I predicted against him on Mass. He's shown that he is going to. And with that being said, these are the matchups that I would love to see for T-Rex next. So starting out at number 5, and as I always say, this is the one that could be a little reachy to some of you, and with this particular one, I know that you're going to understand my explanation for it, but a lot of you are going to roast it for the sake of who the opponent is, and that's okay. But at number 5, I do have T-Rex versus Ace Amin. Now, the reason I think it's the most unlikely right now is because of where their stocks are at. I mean, Rex is like this, and Ace has been like this. We've seen Rex consistent for the first time in a minute, and as for Ace, I remember the last battle of extreme value he had was Suge. I'm trying to think if he's had a 1-rounder or something I'm missing in between, but we know how that went. Very lopsided. And then he's had a couple of battles he didn't show up for, or at least didn't go down. The Un-P battle was, how many times has that not gone down? You have the Slade battle he didn't make it for. The Tay-Rock battle he didn't make it for in OSBL. So for those reasons, it's highly unlikely. But why do I want the battle? One, as much as people get at Ace for stumbling, all their complaints with Ace, their rhyming, like their actual rapping styles would match up well. I think they're both great pure rappers. I know that's something that's always attributed to Ace, and plus they talk a lot of real shit because they're two men that have lived very real lives. So I think the content would be authentic. I think the rapping ability could add to that. You throw this in a smaller room, but yeah, probably, I mean, no question a smaller room is actually the better place for it, but I think you could even go in a medium-sized room with a battle like this. It has some variety, and it has the backstory because of T-Rex and Ace Amin's little 15 minutes of fame confrontation where Rex said, let's rap right now, and Ace didn't rap, and it was a pretty crazy look. It looked pretty crazy, but if we had to take a battle that's not one of the more marquee ones we're going to talk about here, Ace's name also has some value, for better or worse, no matter how you guys talk about him. He brings something to the table in terms of getting momentum for a battle to get booked. And if I had to think of one reachy battle here, I do think that on the low, Rex and Ace could actually have a very entertaining and well-matched battle. From there, though, we'll go to number 4, which is another UM1 class member, and I consider this one a bit more deadly, and that would be T-Rex versus Fonz. Fonz has thrown a couple shots at Rex. I'm not sure if I've heard Rex actually return fire, say anything in interviews. There's so many interviews I watch. Maybe I have, and I just don't remember it, but Fonz is just on fire right now, and I believe I put Rex on Fonz's Bookham video when I did his. I could be wrong, but it's someone that I do want to see Fonz battle at some point, and for him, it's just battling top tiers, right? It's battling the John Johns, battling the Twerks. You know, you could throw Rex in there, battling the Rocks. He's just adding to what's turning into not just a top tier body of work, but, you know, he's trying to make a real career out of this. He's gotten through the door, and it's just a matter of being consistent. Once you get to a certain level, it's about being great just every single year. And you do that with important matchups like Fonz versus T-Rex. I also think I think it's still really dangerous for Rex, but if you told me about this matchup like a year ago, I would have told you it's a murder. I would have told you it's an absolute murder and there's nothing to talk about here. But we're at a point where, as good as Fonz punches, T-Rex, is there an ability? We just saw how he did against a really good writer, and even a puncher in a sense in chess, although, you know, there's a little more factors to that matchup than this one. But I could see that real talk maybe being able to diffuse Fonz a bit. I just give him, in the form that he's been in, I go from predicting Rex to basically lose every battle to he could have a chance against anyone, and for the most part, a very good chance if he's been rapping the way he's been rapping. So I would like to see T-Rex versus Fonz. I don't know what card you put it on, but I think unlike even the Ace battle, has a little more versatility. It gets more dangerous on bigger stages for Rex, in my opinion. I think that's going to be a harder thing for him in front of 500,000 people. But I don't know how many of those events we're even going to get, you know, over which one of those types of events is coming up in the foreseeable future. But medium room, small room, I just think it's a good matchup, and a bit more, like I said, of a dangerous one at that for T-Rex. So from there, we have the top 3 matchups. And listen, I like Rex and Fonz, I like Rex and Ace, but I do believe out of these 3 right here, one of these 3 will be T-Rex's next battle. I couldn't tell you which one, but I do believe these are very, very likely compared to the first 2 we talked about. And at number 3, I do have maybe the biggest one namesake-wise, and that is T-Rex versus Geechee Gotti. Now, this one, we believe, has been booked before, right? Because the SM, was it 12 or 13? I believe the SM, 13 flyer came out, and Geechee and Rex was on it. It was on URL's Instagram. They ended up taking down the post, and when the full card came out, there was no Geechee versus Rex, but it's a battle that people have asked for. I mean, stylistically, I don't really even have to explain to you. You know what I'm saying? Grown man bars versus the soulful street talk 3rd round. Geechee Gotti, 2 legends at this point. It's just one of the few battles Geechee has left that is of high name value, and it's probably the biggest name Rex hasn't battled. I mean, someone will say something like Cassidy or some shit like that, but in terms of active top tier battle rappers, I do believe Geechee is the last of the best that Rex doesn't have on his resume yet either. And the only reason this battle isn't higher is purely because of the recent performances from Geechee Gotti. And I am a believer, though, and you guys aren't going to like it, but even though he's kind of just bullshitted 80% of this year, he was not good versus Loso. He was not good versus Marv 1. He's good in that one-rounder versus Ines. I feel like I'm free. Oh, he was decent versus Fonz, but he half didn't give a fuck, right? However, he has one battle this year that I keep talking about because he was so good in it, and that is the Ilmac battle. He was very, very good versus Ilmac and had him winning very clear against a pretty decent Ilmac. And I do think if there's a battle that Geechee's going to take serious, it's going to be versus a legend like a Hitman or like a Rex. Two of the last battles, it feels like, versus like URL style legends that he really has left. So it's a matchup that sells itself. There's a reason it almost got put on a Summer Madness before, but I'm going to understand that excitement's going to be down because Geechee has been on his West Coast Charlie Clip shit, as I always say. He's been absolutely not giving a fuck, and it's hard to get behind a battler that is killing footage back to back. But at the end of the day, even without how unhappy we are with Geechee, if Rex versus Geechee pops up on a card, I think all of us would understand why. And that leaves you with the top two opponents here. And at number 2, I think some people are going to argue this should be at number 1, because I don't think that style-wise, well, obviously I do. I have a different number 1 matchup. But this is basically a mirror match. And that is TRex versus Bad News. And I'll tell you what, when it comes to Rex and Bad News, over my last about decade or so of watching battle rap, I have spent most of it extremely critical of both of them. In Rex's case, I mean, he was a proven legend, super legend, before I even became a battle rap fan. But with that being said, I keep saying, over the last X amount of time, multiple years, you just haven't gotten the Rex that you got in 2010, 2012, even going before that. But it's shit before there were cameras involved. And then as for Bad News, there's always been parts of his style that I just have not liked. I feel like he's got a little bit of Mr. Wavy syndrome, where he's so overly performative, so great on the delivery side, but his content wouldn't just be like a little bit under his performance. It would be like the polar opposite. Just complete OBC and just bars that are like okay, but like perform to the absolute maximum. But I could say both of these guys have been fire recently. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It feels like there's been genuine improvements that you can see. As for Rex, it's not necessarily an improvement as it is a return to form. It's just giving more effort with Rex. I mean, there's times he showed up with one great round, but because of breath control and really mixtape verses, the next 2 were just bad. Now he's bringing that one great round 3 times. So you're just seeing effort. And then as for Bad News, that's where you really see the improvements. His pen's gotten better. He still has his moments. You know what I'm saying? He's never going to be JC. Never going to be Loaded Lux. You know what I'm saying? Chilla Jones. I understand that. But he has more of like PK makers, a little more soundness bar for bar, a little less OBC and more creativity in my opinion. And he gets into an angle or two here and there, kind of angle punches in between, so it's tailored. I gotta say, it's been a vast improvement. These two have been talking shit for a minute. I believe that Rex, in a sense, is kind of like Bad News' endgame battle, maybe. I don't know. He might have said that himself, but the matchup makes sense, how long it's been built up. And I mean, the things that they are great at, they do basically the exact same. You find a battle like this on Bullpen, it's going to be nothing but just energy, and real talk. The people that like a battle like this are going to love a battle like this. And truth be told, I would love a battle like this. I think T-Rex and Bad News is fantastic, and I could very easily see that going down. Maybe next year Rex is planning a run, but maybe before the year's even out. And that leaves you with the matchup. So I really bigged up Rex versus Bad News, and I feel like for a lot of logical reasons that might even be the next battle Rex takes. But the battle that I want for Rex next, I think the one that would be the best, is T-Rex versus Swamp. And for this one, for me, is I feel like people haven't talked to. I've maybe seen a couple mentions, but it's not built up the way Swamp and Cal is built up, or Swamp and Verb, even more of a grudge, you know what I mean? You'll even hear more talk about Swamp and Easy possibly being a matchup, but I think this makes so much sense for both sides. I think as for Rex, in terms of battling top tier, newer era opponents, I mean, Swamp is technically a part of that UM1 class, but a lot of people view him more advanced than they view a Fonz or an Ace Amin right now, more in the limelight, and the opportunities he gets would kind of speak to that. You know what I'm saying? He is of higher rank right now. Also helps that he clearly beat both of them, you know what I'm saying? But Swamp is a hot commodity right now, and people just want to see him in big matchups, and the Cal matchup is like by far the one that people want for Swamp, including myself, right? But if he's got to battle other legends and there's problems setting the Cal one up and Easy doesn't want to battle him, is Rex not a perfectly respectable legendary name for Swamp to get? The kind, I'm not going to say serves the same exact purpose, but it's a very big battle. And as for Rex, Swamp is an extremely respectable, active, top-tier opponent that is, in the very least, in my opinion, one of the top 10 active battle rappers right now that you see month to month, every other month, multiple times over a year. And then there's the style matchup of it. And I think Similar to some of the other ones we talked about here, this one isn't a pen fest. You know what I mean? This isn't a style clash by any means, a better writer versus Rex, and we see how the styles mash. They're going to talk some shit. They're going to talk some real life shit, some street shit. They're going to get to a punch differently than other people. Some of the things that they land points with, it's not just a straight up punchline. It's life applicable. It's belittling even. They both have a little bit of almost like comedy in their style with how aggressive they can get. I just have a vision that T-Rex versus Swamp would be an amazing battle, and kind of like Geechee or even like a Fonz battle. I think you could put it in almost any setting. I think it could be in a completely small room and be great. I think in a medium room probably be fantastic, the best middle ground. And if it goes to a bigger stage, like I said, I have more worries about Rex when you talk about large numbers of hundreds of people in a building, but it would even make sense on a stage like that. Swamp and Rex both have a ton of experience. Swamp is gaining a ton of experience there, and no one is going to be mad if Rex gets booked on big cards like that. You know what I mean? Especially with the way he's been performing. So for all those reasons, and for me, that's why I think Rex versus Swamp would just be a fantastic battle for Rex to possibly even take next. But that is my 5 matchups here for T-Rex that I'd like to see really next. I don't know, as it usually goes, I think a few of these battles will go down. Maybe we're not going to see Rex versus Ace Amin anytime soon, but I do think when we talk specifically Rex Geechee, Rex News, Rex Swamp, how could you not love any of those 3 matchups there? But I want to hear your guys' opinion now on this, and anyone who I didn't mention. Who do you think T-Rex should battle next? And even if it's not immediately next, for his 2025 run, what's a battle that you'd want to see there that maybe I don't have on this list? Is there a matchup that I'm missing? Is there a legend? Some of you are going to want maybe T-Rex and Cassidy. Is it maybe an up-and-comer who isn't fully at that level yet, but you think will be for next year? Please let me know in the comment section down below, y'all. But it's been J Smo Reviews again. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.